This is the perfect organism to destroy humans. You could euthanize them to end their suffering faster. It's better to just die at that point. Hello everyone, today I'm watching the most horrible parasite, brain-eating amoeba. Amoeba. I don't know how to say it. English is not my native language. By Kurzgesagt. So let's watch what this is. Brain eating, which is
a war has been going on
weird.
For billions of years that breeds well-armed monsters who struggle with other monsters for survival. Having no particular interest in us, most of them are relatively harmless, as our immune systems deal with their weapons easily. But there are exceptions. Naegleria fowleri is an amoeba that has not only developed a deadly taste for human brains, but is also a match for our defenses and stars in dramatic headlines. What happens when this monster enters your body?
How does it enter your body? That's the question. Where do you get it from? I need to make sure to never go near that place again.
Naegleria fowleri is an amoeba, a microbe with a nucleus, one of the smallest life forms on Earth. It is a voracious hunter of bacteria and other critters that it devours whole and rips into pieces. Like many amoebae, it is able to transform into different stages that help it survive. But most of the time, Naegleria fowleri is in its trophozoite stage, during which it looks like a squishy blob with tiny arms, and hunts, divides, and thrives. Its natural home is in fresh water, ponds.
So basically, never go near freshwater sources ever again to not get this. I mean, I'm assuming that getting it is not very common, given how this doesn't... I've never even heard of this before. Which leads me to believe it's not something you can commonly get. Which leads me to believe that it's not a big deal and you don't really have to worry. But I would still be paranoid every time I'm near fresh water.
Rivers, lakes, and hot springs. But unfortunately, it also feels happy in pipes, swimming pools, fountains, or spas when they're not properly treated.
Oh, when they're not treated properly.
The more it thrives and multiplies. Properly treated. The warmer the water, the more it thrives and multiplies. The warmer the water? So in the summer, when...
So a hot tub is basically just the perfect breeding ground for these things.
When humans seek to cool off and enjoy themselves, the chances are highest that both species will interact. Because this makes it hard to avoid, millions of people regularly have contact with the amoeba, especially in warmer climates, and many people even seem to have antibodies against it. And this is mostly okay. You can even swallow it without consequences. Things turn bad when people dive or swim in water contaminated with the amoeba and water splashes high up into their noses. In a single drop of lake water...
So you can swallow it and there's no negative effect, but if it goes up your nose, you're screwed. I guess that makes sense, because from the nose it probably has the shortest way to go to the brain.
There are millions of viruses, bacteria and amoebae, and that isn't really a big deal. But Naegleria fowleri is different. Let's zoom into the nose of an unsuspecting victim enjoying a great summer day and see what happens. First of all, the amoeba doesn't really want to be inside your nose, as it's not really looking for trouble. It just wants to eat a few bacteria. Instead, it's greeted by your natural defenses.
So does it not actually try to kill you? It just so far I'm guessing that it only accidentally kills you.
Unfortunately for humans, Naegleria fowleri happens to be exceptionally good at generally flying under the radar of your immune system. For example, the inside of your nose is covered by mucosa, a slime filled with chemicals that kill or stun possible invaders or alert immune cells. But Naegleria fowleri is not particularly bothered by them and
so
instead calmly checks out the scenery, mildly annoyed about the whole ordeal. Now, if you are unlucky, the tiny critter stumbles over something that actually sparks its interest. Nerve cells. Your nose is filled with a large network of olfactory nerve cells that pick up molecules from the outside and transmit their information to your olfactory bulb, the center of smell in your brain. To do their job, these cells talk to each other by releasing various messenger chemicals and recognizing them via specific receptors. One of the most important of these chemicals is acetylcholine. Through sheer evolutionary bad luck, Naegleria fowleri happens to have receptors that recognize acetylcholine.
So it...
And it seems to attract them irresistibly, a little like moths that are attracted by light. So as your olfactory nerve cells do their job, using plenty of...
So, given how this is the case, I believe that if it gets into your nose, there's still a chance nothing will happen if it doesn't come across your nerve cells.
Acetylcholine to talk to the brain, Naegleria fowleri enters your tissue. It seems to follow the chemical signals upstream. Neutrophils, crazy suicide warriors, begin to attack the amoebae. Individually, they have no chance against them, as the invaders are large and pretty buff fighters, used to dealing with tough enemies. So the defenders swarm the intruders and kill them either by vomiting chemicals that punch holes into them, or by literally ripping parts of them off and devouring them. But the Naegleria fowleri train is still on track, and while the neutrophil attacks slow...
So, your immune system can still fight it. It's just that it's not very effective, because these things can also actually fight back.
...them down, they continue to follow the olfactory nerves to their final destination, your brain. This process can take between 1 and 9 days, and you'll probably not notice anything during that time.
So you have no symptoms?
Until the amoebae reach the olfactory bulb, the center of smell and entrance to your brain. Your brain cells are nothing more than helpless victims, and they all release that wonderful acetylcholine.
And it's just going to eat it?
Naegleria fowleri initiates a massacre and releases an onslaught of various attack molecules. Some of them are basically little bombs that rip holes into your cells on contact so their pieces can be eagerly consumed. But Naegleria fowleri is now multiplying.
So it actually does straight up just eat your brain, basically.
And it's also becoming really creepy. In a feeding frenzy, it can develop up to a dozen suckers called food cups that look like giant, eerie mouths. The amoebae engage your brain cells, suck them in, and rip large bites out of them while they're still alive. Now things escalate quickly, and the disease that will...
How do you even survive this? Can you survive this? If it's in your brain, I don't think there's a single... No, there's nothing you could do at this point. It would just be waiting until your eventual death. Maybe you could be euthanized at this point, because that's probably the best you'll get. I mean, I would rather be euthanized than have to suffer for multiple days while I'm being eaten from the inside.
Will kill you sets in. Alerted by the massacre, millions of immune cells, neutrophils, eosinophils and microglias invade the infected tissue. Which is a problem. Your immune system is dangerous and not exactly a careful...
Yeah, your immune system can also kill you. Because this is in the brain. There's a lot of sensitive stuff there. So if these things explode and they accidentally hit something vital, important, it's just going to kill you even faster.
Fighter. It's like burning down a forest to kill the wolves inside it.
You also destroy the forest.
In the brain. They waste no time and...
So basically, those things are sent in to kill the bacteria, the amoeba, but while killing it, they also kill your brain, which in turn kills you.
Attack the amoeba using all the weapons available to them, from chemicals to trying to eat them alive. Neutrophils explode themselves to erect barriers spiked with deadly chemicals. A fierce battle ensues. Naegleria fowleri can actually fight back, itself attacking and killing many immune cells. The immune system now throws everything it has at the invader, but in vain. The complement system, tiny protein bombs that can kill intruders on their own, are easily disabled. Antibodies, usually one of your super weapons, are just destroyed or swallowed. A high fever that usually slows enemies down does nothing, as the amoeba actually thrives in the heat. All the while, the amoebae continue.
So the high fever you get is not helping you, it's just making things worse. This is the perfect organism to destroy humans.
To multiply, fight, and devour your brain cells.
Your immune system just doesn't work.
Is taking place. One major thing your immune cells do when they fight is to cause inflammation. which directs large amounts of fluid from your bloodstream into the site of an infection.
So you basically have internal bleeding in your brain, which is going to cause it to swell and squeeze against your skull, which is really terrible.
So as the battle
It's not
rages
fun.
on without a clear winner, more and more fluid enters the brain. At this point, the human will feel symptoms that quickly escalate. It all begins pretty vaguely: a headache, fever, nausea, and vomiting. As the battle spreads rapidly through the brain, serious symptoms appear, from confusion, inability to concentrate, to fatigue, seizures, and hallucinations.
Oh,
The
yeah,
brain swells
hallucinations.
up massively, but can't expand due to the bones surrounding it. So it compresses and disables the brainstem that controls things like breathing. Usually, within a week, the patient dies.
Wow,
Up
1
to
week.
97% of the patients infected by the amoeba share this fate.
So you can
In
technically
almost all
survive.
cases, by the time an infection by Naegleria fowleri is recognized, the
Too
disastrous
late.
battle for the brain is already so far along that there is almost nothing to be done. Not only do we currently
You could euthanize them to end their suffering faster. That's always an option. I mean, like I said, if you know someone is going to die within the next few days, no matter what. Okay, 97% of people die. So let's say you have a 3% survival chance. That's still a 97% chance that you're going to suffer for the next couple of days in immense pain, and then you're just dead. I would much rather just be euthanized and just get it over with. What's the point of living a few more days if you're just in constant pain and suffering? It's better to just die at that point.
currently not have effective treatments, there are also an abundance of open questions about how an amoeba that usually enjoys its life in open water is able to overcome our immune system so effectively. So
Nature.
how worried do you need
There
to
is
be
no
about this
explanation.
horrifying killer amoeba? Well, not very. While the Naegleria fowleri is clearly extremely deadly, and the infection truly horrible, there have only been a few hundred cases in the last few decades.
That's practically nothing.
You are way more likely to drown in a pool than to get infected. Not only does the amoeba need to be flushed high up your nose, it also needs to get a good grip, and it also has to make its way through the first lines of your defenses. Ultimately, Naegleria fowleri is neither evil nor a huge public health risk. But every year, some unlucky people have to deal with it. We still have so much to learn about it, and until we find a way to treat it, Naegleria fowleri will continue to be this vague and horrifying thing, hunting in puddles and lakes, and sometimes pools. Usually for bacteria, and very occasionally for people.
humans.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. While this amoeba is not exactly killing many people, I feel like this is something that could be used as a bioweapon. If humans genetically engineer this thing, I feel like it could become one of the most effective bioweapons there is. Because let's say you genetically engineer this in a way where infecting humans is a lot easier and faster, and it can also get through your immune system even more reliably, more often. This could be released in let's say, okay, so let's say a random country makes this. Let's say, which country could make this? I don't know, just whatever. A country makes this, genetically engineer it to make it a bioweapon, release it into another country, into the water supply, somehow. You could seriously use this as a weapon of mass destruction, even if it's not much of a risk right now. That's honestly scarier than the actual amoeba itself. The fact that you could probably somehow use this as a bioweapon. Could you? Actually, I should check if an amoeba can even be used as a bioweapon. Okay, well, I couldn't find anything about amoeba being used as a bioweapon, so maybe that's not something we have to worry about. Or maybe it is. Who really knows? Anyway, yeah, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Link to my Discord server is down in the description below. You can check that out if you want. And I will see you in the next video.